Just a heads up before the video starts, this is part 2 of my jungle guide. If you have not seen part 1, I strongly recommend you see that part first. You can click the video here or the link in the description. Enjoy! Hello and welcome to part 2 of my jungle guide. Last video we went over what's in the jungle, who works there and what to build. This part is going to be about farming, ganking and warding. So let's start off with the farming. As a jungler, you start the game out in either 3 ways. For the chaos side, you and the solo laner do your speed buff, then the mana buff for the solo laner, and then you head to lane. The jungler usually sticks around in the solo lane for about 1 or 2 waves. If you're at the order side, there are 2 common ways to start. The red start and the 3-man mid camps. If you do the red start, you start at the red buff, then take mana for your solo laner, then head to lane. If you're doing the 3-man mid camps, you start at mid, then go to mana and then to lane. The point of the 3-man mid camps is that you can get the red buff to your mid laner earlier, and it gets your solo lane to lane faster. This game will work as a demonstration of how you can think and act during a game as a jungler. I recommend starting with Thor because he is one of the more beginner-friendly junglers, and he is free. And remember, if you want to play jungle, be sure you are the first person to call it. If someone else called it before you, then don't play jungle. I started out with the most common start for junglers, as shown in my last video. If you want to know what I'm gonna build, then you can head over to my first part of this video, where I'm explaining gods and what to build on them. Because I am the order side, I'm gonna start at the speed buff, then get the mana for Vulcan and then head to lane. When you get to lane, focus on killing the minions. This is because you want the push advantage. If you can push your minions into the enemy tower, that means 2 things. 1, they're gonna lose gold, and secondly, you can control when you're gonna rotate. It's up to you when you wanna leave the solo lane, but you rarely see a jungler there after 2 minutes. When leaving the solo lane, you can do one of 3 things. The first one is invading. You go for either the enemy back camps or the speed buff. This is really effective if your early game is stronger than your opponent's. He's gonna get set behind drastically. The downside of invading is that it can be very risky. If the enemy mid laner comes, it could be really dangerous. The second one is going for an early gank in mid. If it's successful, it's gonna set your mid laner ahead, and that's gonna help you every time you wanna contest mid camps. One side effect of ganking mid early is that you might leech some experience and gold. I'm gonna explain what that is later in the video. The third one is farming, which basically means going back to your jungle and farm. The next timing I need to keep in mind are the mid camps at 3:15. Because we have the push advantage, I'm starting out with the first alternative, invading. I'm going for the enemy back camps first. When I'm done with the back camps, I notice that Serket is still in the solo lane, and I see that everyone else is in their respective lanes. As a jungler, you always need to keep an eye on the map. Because I know Serket is there and everyone else is in their lanes, I know it's safe to go for the speed buff. In part 1 of this guide, I asked what you guys need help with. One of the most common responses was that people have trouble knowing where to be and when to be there. As the jungler, there are 2 types of decisions. Active decisions and reactive decisions. I'm gonna go over the active decisions now and the reactive ones later. An active decision means having the ability to control where you're going. When making an active decision, there are 4 things to keep in mind. Are there any potential ganks? Can I steal something? Where can I farm? And what are the timers? Take a look at the map to answer all these questions. Well, right now I see Janus is kind of out positioned, so me and Vamana might go for gank there. The only thing left to steal is their back camps, but the back camps aren't worth that much. To farm I have both my back camps and my damage buff. And in this case the only timers I need to keep in mind are the mid camps, which spawn at 3:15.
Okay.
I decide that the best thing I can do is to gank mid, and I call Vamana to help me. Even though we didn't kill Janus, it's still a win because he has to go back to base now. That means he can't farm and he's gonna lose gold. I do the same evaluation as before and decide that the best thing I can do is to go farm. One thing you want to do as much as possible when farming is camp splitting. This means one of your teammates are close to the buff or has damaged it. This will mean that they also get experience and gold, and because of the Bombus Mask passive, this doesn't hurt your gold gain either. which means it's gonna help your team gold gain without hurting yours. As soon as I'm done with the camp, I start thinking about what to do next. But wait, Janus is pushing a wave in mid and Vamana is low and has to back. This is an example of a reactive decision. It's when the circumstances forces you to do something that you might not want to do. For instance, defend the lane while someone is backing, or rotate across the map to help in a fight. These decisions are just as important as the active ones, especially when you're behind. The only difference is you can't make them yourself. Another thing to keep in mind when jungling are the timers. This could be looking at the map to see the circle graphs, or keeping your eye on the clock. For instance, I know the next mid camps are gonna spawn about 3:15. The first 4 mid camps are usually about these times. After that, it's rare to see them taken at consistent times. If you wanna contest the second mid camp at 3:15, try to back before 3 minutes or back after the mid camps are done. Later that game, after I've done my speed buff, I start to decide what to do next, and I notice that Ares is low. When you decide to gank, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. First of all, I don't have an ultimate. Secondly, Vulcan doesn't. I have no idea if Ares has his ult or not, but it's not gonna matter too much, because Ares' ultimate isn't that dangerous. I noticed that Vulcan is almost full health and half mana. I'm full health, full mana. Ares on the other hand is only half health. This means that even if I had my ult, I probably wouldn't use it. Even though Ares is a tank, I think we have a good chance of killing him. Another thing to keep in mind are the possible rotations. Because Vulcan has placed a ward at the enemy blue buff, that means we could see if an enemy rotated to help Ares. After you have considered the circumstances, it's time to decide, is it worth it? A shorter version would be, what does my teammates have to help me? What can the enemy team do to stop me? And what do I bring to the fight? I'm gonna show this thought process at a larger scale later in the video. But the fun never stops. Right after the fight, I try to make up what I'm gonna do next. I see that their blue buff is up, and I ping it on the map to try to get Vulcan to help me. Remember to never stop looking for opportunities. Small things like stealing a blue buff could be the deciding factor in an even game. Try to remember the times where you stole enemy camps. For instance, I know I stole the speed camp at about 2 minutes, and it has a respawn timer of 4 minutes. Because Serket was not there when it was taken, she did not have the circle timer on the map, which means she might have missed the timing. This misplay by Serket gives me a small opportunity, and because I remember the timer, I know it's still up. Suddenly a Bacchus appears in the jungle. Even though it's not a gank, I still have to decide if I want to fight for the speed buff or not. Both me and Bacchus are full health and mana. I have no idea if his ultimate is up or not, but I don't want to waste my ultimate just to get a speed buff. Neither one of us should be realistically able to kill the other one. The deciding factor here is that I don't know where Serket is, and I don't know where Janus is. Janus' ult could make sure that both him and Serket are here in the blink of an eye. So it's time to make a new decision, and I decide to gank right. New decision, speed buff. The reason I feel it's safe now is because I know they're gonna rotate to right lane instead of to the speed buff. As I take the speed buff, a fight breaks out in right lane. To help in that fight is not an option, it's a must. But it's still an opportunity. Watch the fight all the way and try to make out what's being used and what's not being used. I can see that Serket uses most of her kit to kill Hercules. So Bellaflop can't knock me out of my 3, Ares' ultimate takes forever to charge, and Serket's 2 is down, which means they have no way of stopping me from doing my damage. I bring 2 stuns and decent damage because I'm ahead, and also Frey and Vamana are there right behind me to help me, and they can deliver high damage as long as I can secure it with my stuns. Simply put, it's the best opportunity I've had all game. The second the fight is over, we need to make a new decision, and we decide to go for the Gold Fury. Always try to get the Gold Fury and Fire Giant if you win a big team fight or force the enemy team to back, because they set you ahead by a lot. A Gold Fury or a Fire Giant could literally turn the game. Another thing you guys wanted help with was counter jungling. To prevent counter jungling, you first of all need to know what's happening. This is another reason why you always want to look at the map, because the enemy jungler has to do decisions just like you. You can't always prevent counter jungling yourself. Sometimes you need help of a teammate. Every time you see someone going for one of your buffs, ping like crazy and try to get your team to help. If you want to be even safer, you can place defensive wards in your jungle. The places you can put them are below your speed buff or below your red. This allows you to see when they're going for your speed or damage and for your back camps. If you want to counter jungle yourself, you can put wards at the exact same spot but in the enemy jungle. Another request I got is to talk about how to jungle from behind. When you are behind, you should always prioritize farming. You want to fight as little as possible when you are behind, because you are much more easily killed, and that's just gonna set you even further behind. When you have emptied your jungle, try to leech from the lanes. Leeching uses the same concept as camp splitting, and is what you did the first couple of minutes of the game in the solo lane. You basically share the golden experience from the minions in the lane, by helping out with killing them. Just make sure you don't leech too much from one lane, because that's gonna set that lane behind. And to end this guide, I just want to say the only way how to know how to make the right evaluations and decisions is to practice. There's no shortcut around it. You just have to play and play and play and play. So that concludes my jungle guide part 2. If you have any questions about the jungle, just post them in the comments. If I get enough interesting questions, I might do a part 3 where I answer those questions. And as always, subscribes, likes and shares are always welcome. If you think there's anything I can improve in my videos, please let me know in the comments. If you ever want to chat, you can add me in-game, Swedish. Thank you so much for watching and have a magnificent day.